In this video, I want to talk about some practical solutions that I think you guys should consider when you're starting a home care business while also beating this cost of living crisis that we're experiencing in the United States. So it starts by thinking outside of the box. Now, before I play this video, look at my analytics. I see that a lot of you guys are immigrants, which is great. Some of you might not be immigrants, but I think you should seriously consider living outside of the United States, not full-time, but part-time. There's something that I learned from migrant workers. If you look at those guys that are coming from countries in Central America, the Venezuelans, Nicaraguans, including Mexico, especially the Mexicans, they know exactly the strategy. And let me tell you what I've learned about these people. Just because they are in the United States doing these seemingly menial jobs that you guys look down on, does not mean that they're broke. No. I met a bunch of Central Americans when I used to live in New York. I lived there for 10 years. So I used to go to like Queens. Queens has a big Hispanic community. A lot of Mexicans, a lot of Nicaraguans, El Salvadorians. So I met this, I think it was from either El Salvador or Nicaragua, one of those two countries. And this guy was selling fruit. You know those guys that sell fruit in the street? So if you go into the store, the fruit might be $10, but he sells you that fruit for $5. And he's been doing that for a long time. And one time I went to buy fruit from him, and he was telling me about how he's just finished building his mansion over there in Nicaragua or El Salvador. And I didn't believe him. I'm like, you're lying. You're lying. What do you mean you got a mansion in your country over there? The guy pulled out his iPhone and he showed me his mansion. There are so many immigrants in the United States that are seasonal workers. What they do is they will come in to a city like New York City, run their business for like 6 months, and then go back to their country for 6 months and relax. It's amazing. So they don't burn out. I used to say to myself, how come I haven't thought about that? Well, the reason why I haven't been able to pull that off for a long time, I'm doing that now, but the reason why I have not been able to pull that off for a long time was because, I had a family to feed, But some of you are not in that predicament. I highly recommend you consider this practical solution to beat the cost of living crisis that's happening so that you can save enough money to start your home care business and then level up as quickly as possible and definitely faster than your competition without necessarily borrowing money. If this Nicaraguan who sells fruit in the streets of New York can work 6 months and have enough money saved up to go to his home country and build a mansion, so can you. You can use that strategy too. You can consider places like Panama is great. Cost of living in Panama is amazing, by the way. And also, the time zone makes sense with the United States. You can look at countries like Belize, that's an English-speaking country, or even parts of Mexico. Not all of Mexico is dangerous, by the way. There are beautiful cities like Merida, close to Cancun, especially for some of you guys that are traveling nurses. If you are single, you got no kids, and you're a nurse, and you also travel for your job as a traveling nurse, why wouldn't you consider that? Why would you get stuck in an economy where the cost of eggs is $10 when you can go right across the border to Mexico and live in a beautiful city like Merida, and the eggs are only $1 over there? Why wouldn't you consider that? Let me play this video. And the reason why I picked Nairobi, Kenya is simply because I've been to Nairobi, Kenya, and the cost of living there is amazing. The quality of life there is amazing. I would say right now, Nairobi, Kenya, quality of life-wise, is better than any United States city by far. There are times when I'm moving in Nairobi, and I'll be there very soon. There are times when I'm in Nairobi, Kenya, I can't tell the difference whether I'm in Atlanta or Nairobi. I can't tell the difference. Is this Africa for real? It doesn't feel like Africa. But let me just play a little bit of this video so you can kind of have a good sense on the cost of living over there.
And I stayed in multiple areas, so I can give you a good idea of what you're going to spend if you want to live in Nairobi, Kenya. And the first thing I want to start off with is accommodations. And this is one of the good parts about Nairobi is you kind of get to design your lifestyle. Because I've stayed in places where like $500 a month, all the way up to $850 a month. And it's
$500 a month, all the way up to $850 a month. Please go subscribe to this young man, because this guy, like, he drops a lot of practical information on why he chose Nairobi, Kenya over a bunch of other cities that he's been to. He's been to Thailand, he's been to so many other cities. But like I said, you don't have to move to Nairobi, Kenya. I'm just recommending Nairobi, Kenya because I live in East Africa already. So I love East Africa. The food is great, the people are amazing, and I can relate to this culture.
This was in completely different areas, but all these places had similar features. And number one was these places were furnished. So you're gonna pay a little bit more if you want a furnished place. If you want an unfurnished place and you furnish it yourself, you are gonna save a lot of money, and also you get to design your place. But all the places I came to, I wanted them to be ready to move in. I didn't want to go find a fridge.
So imagine that, huh? Between $500 and $850 a month. Meanwhile, your rent is probably like $3,000 by now. If you can start off small by renting a studio for like $500 a month, and yes, you can find really good studios in a city like Nairobi, Kenya, world-class city. If you watch this guy's content, other content, he's gonna show you everything. I'm gonna link his channel. Please go watch his stuff, go support him. He's gonna give you all the game. So imagine you're starting off with a studio for $500 a month. That means in order for you to pay a whole year's rent, we're looking at, I'm just bringing out my calculator here, $6,000. If you can save up $6,000, maybe your tax refund or whatever, 1 year's worth of rent in a city like Nairobi for $6,000. In a good neighborhood too, low crime. What that means is you no longer have to slave away at your job anymore. You can relax over there in Nairobi, Kenya, and build your business remotely. Because that's what I do. I'm able to operate my home care remotely from East Africa. My employees are over there, and as soon as they tell me, hey, Mufado, listen, the cost of eggs has gone up again, I'm gonna, okay, fine, how much do you need to get paid now? I'm gonna give them a raise. If my employees say they need a raise, I'm giving them a raise. I don't even go back and forth, because my overheads over here in Africa are nothing. So I can afford to pay them whatever they ask for. But the question is, can you do that while you're based in the United States? The answer is no, because you're too busy worrying about how to meet your mortgage. That is like $3,500, $4,000. Some people are paying like mortgages of $5,000, car notes for $1,000, insurance. We call this like death by 1,000 bills. Some people are paying $6,000 a month in rent or mortgage. Use that 1 month rent, $6,000, to move to a different city like Nairobi or Merida, and watch what's going to happen. Your quality of life is going to explode. You can take naps whenever you feel like it. Listen, after this, I'm going to go take a nap. Can you do that? You can't do that because you're too busy slaving away, and you don't have to do that. There's different ways that you can maneuver this game, and I can teach you how to do that if you schedule time. The next practical thing, and again, this is not for everybody, okay? I know a lot of people cannot do this, but I came across this video right here. Let me play it real quick.
Hey, my name is Maddie, and I've been living in my DIY Red ProMaster for coming up on 1.5 years now. Back in 2020, I saved up a bunch of money with the intention of going and living abroad, but after everything kind of flipped over on its head, I decided to invest all of that money into building a van. So today, I have my computer with me, and I have my cost spreadsheet, and I'm going to give you guys a cost breakdown of everything it cost to build out this van. I think videos like this...
Okay, this movement has been around for at least a decade. This is nothing new. For some of you guys, you probably came across this content, but I'm telling you right now, this has been happening for at least a decade. I started watching this van life movement back in 2014, 2011 even. So we're talking about 14 years ago. I wanted to buy my own van in 2011, but I couldn't because I had kids. But for some of you guys that don't have kids, you don't have all these things that are holding you back, this is a practical solution. There are people that are already doing this. And what's great about this young lady is this, Maddie. Please go watch her stuff, go subscribe, and learn something. Don't be stubborn. Just because she doesn't look like you does not mean that you cannot learn something from her. Sometimes people that look like us don't have all the answers. What I like about Maddie is that she put together a spreadsheet. Let's look at the spreadsheet. It says here, it cost her a total of $36,800 to build out this van right here. It cost her $36,800, almost $37,000. I know a lot of you guys can come up with $30,000. I know you can. Now, you don't have to start off as fancy as Maddie's whatever van, but there are people who are living in their cars. It just makes sense to me that if you see the cost of rent is just out of control and it's just crushing you, it just makes sense for you to just get out of that game. It's a scam. Why are you putting yourself in that situation? Because 6 months of rent that you're paying for rent could be used to buy like a van like this one. You put your bed in there, drive that van to the parking lot at work, park it somewhere far. Okay, this is if you have a job. If you have a job, that's great. Especially for some of you guys that are nurses, downsize. Put everything into your storage. Everything that's in your apartment, you put it into storage. And you stop paying rent for like 3 months. So you saved up enough cash. You live in a van like this one, and then you just go to work. And nobody has to know. Don't tell people you live in a van. Don't tell them that. Only you know you live in a van. So if you're a nurse that makes 6 figures and you're living in your van, can you imagine the amount of money you're going to save? You're going to save a fortune. And you're going to sign up for the most expensive gym. There are a lot of gyms like Equinox. I used to like to go to a gym called Lifetime Fitness. Amazing. Lifetime Fitness is like a resort. And I used to pay $150 a month for it. So you do that. And you work out every single day. Because you don't have all these bills like holding you back, all these burdens. The only thing you're paying for is car insurance, maybe a note for that van, and your groceries. And you're making 6 figures? That means your bills are probably like $1,500 and you bring in maybe like $6,000, $7,000 after taxes. Just imagine the amount of money you're gonna save. Within 3 to 6 months, you're out of there. You're in Mexico, you're living in Nairobi, Kenya, or you name it, Thailand, whatever it is. And then you are commuting back and forth like these migrant workers that I told you about. These Nicaraguans, these Central Americans, these Mexicans. But then you're just coming back to the United States during the summertime just to do a couple of shifts. Then you go right back to paradise. That's what I do now. Thanks to that guy who was selling me fruit in the streets of Queens. I learned the game from him. So I'm going to give you all this game now and so much more. Again, go subscribe to these guys, Maddie and Kid Greatness. I think you should change his name to King Greatness, in my opinion. Go subscribe to them. Go watch these practical tips, because if you don't stop playing the game differently, you're going to be homeless out here. You're going to be struggling. Ever since January 20th, I keep telling people the game has changed. I'll put a link in the description, pinned to the comments section. Schedule time. I got so much game to give you. I also have a sales script. And this sales script allows you to be able to close deals over the phone. And you can be like in Africa as I am right now and just be fielding sales calls. You're running your online commercials, and I can show you how to do that. I can teach you how to do that. Let's say you're running Google advertising, you're running TV commercials. A lead comes in, you're just picking up the phone, and you're somewhere nice and fancy, like where I'm at right now in Africa. Living the life, eating good, living good, zero anxiety, taking your sales calls and closing deals. You can do that too. I can show you how to do all of that. Zero anxiety. Schedule time. I'll talk to you soon.